Le Mans Ultimate recently released a new tire model for its GT3 cars, and the overall feedback from the community is quite polarizing to say the least. The intent of this update was to minimize the abuse of slip angle when exiting a corner, which was much needed if you ask me, but it also introduced some challenges when it comes to the overall grip in different situations. I now spent quite a bit of time with the update, so I have compiled a bunch of tips and tricks that will help you understand the new physics and get a more stable car so that you can regain that confidence that is so crucial for good lap times. If you find this video helpful, please remember to leave a like and subscribe. This is the best way to support the channel. I can't thank you enough. Alright, so without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, start your engine. Alright, so my goal is not to start a debate whether the new tire model is good or bad. Instead, I want to provide you with some tools to help you deal with the new challenges encountered when driving the GT3 cars. My assessment of the main differences coming from this update is that it seems easier to unsettle the car and lose traction on the rear tires, especially on corner entry. Unfortunately, the force feedback doesn't provide any information that you are about to lose traction, so we need to find other ways to mitigate that effect. My first suggestion is to try and adapt your driving style to this new reality. The new physics really promote a smooth and driving approach, as it is now very unforgiving and the game will really punish you if your braking and steering inputs are too strong. Instead, make sure to be as smooth as possible with your braking inputs. Progressively increase your steering angle as you are slowly bleeding off the brake pedal and trail braking as you approach the apex. At this late phase of a corner entry, when you are just about to reach the apex, you will want to also make sure your eyes pay attention to the horizon and notice any sudden change in your rotation. This will be your main means of catching a spin, and since the traction versus slip window is now so small, you will really need to be quick to do the steering correction for the best chance of catching the car and staying on track. My second suggestion is to consider changing some of the basic car setups. At the moment, there is a bug where if you press the start driving button and then return to garage during the practice session, this will open the car setup options even for beginner fixed races. In order to bring the car balance more towards the rear to increase traction, there is a number of things you can do. First, you can try increasing the front ride height and/or reducing the rear ride height. A few clicks up for the front and/or a few clicks down for the rear should be enough to change the balance and increase stability. Second, you can also make the rear spring rate softer by decreasing the value by 1 or 2 clicks. And thirdly, you can bring the brake bias a little more towards the rear, which will help bring the balance towards the rear under braking conditions. These changes should help with making the car more stable, and I would recommend you practice with different settings combinations to see what works best for your car and driving style. My third suggestion is to play with the Rework ABS settings. That's right, they completely changed how the ABS preset numbers are working, and I think it is important to understand what each number from 1 to 9 means, as they are no longer simple increments like 1 being the lowest and 9 being the highest. Here, I am going to share a table that was posted on the LMU Discord. As you can see, we now have 3 big ABS sections that will have a different effect on the balance of the car. The first section being the one that creates some oversteer, the second section being the balanced one, and the third section being the one that creates some understeer. Within each of those sections, the lowest number will have the late ABS activation, and the highest number will have the early ABS activation, meaning that number 1, 4, and 7 will have little ABS activation, increasing the slip. Numbers 2, 5, and 8 will have mid-levels of ABS activation, and number 3, 6, and 9 will have the highest ABS activation. Based on my testing, the oversteer and understeer effect is not massive, but is there, so it's worth trying different ones to help correct some undesired car behaviors. When it comes to the level of ABS to use, I would say that if you are confident in your braking abilities and can manage to stay out of the ABS threshold, perhaps it would be worth trying to lower the lower numbers in each sections and then see if you can gain braking efficiencies. But if you are a mere mortal just like me, the higher numbers will probably give you the best results. My last suggestion is linked to the fact that tires now take longer to warm up. In fact, it now takes a good lap and a half to 2 laps to get to their optimal temperature, which is in the 70 to 80 degrees Celsius. I would strongly recommend that you look at your tire temperature when you are starting a session, and if they are in the 20 to 30 degrees Celsius range, to be extra careful and not push too much. I believe there has been a bug that some practice session had cold tires by default, but the qualification and race had warm tires, so you have to look as you are starting a session to see if you can push or not at the start. Finally, there is also some bug that will have you start the race with your old qualification tires, so you will want to make sure to select new tires before joining the grid, otherwise you may have non-optimal tires by the end of your race. Alright guys, there you have it. Those are all the tips and tricks I was able to compile since the last update, and I hope I was able to help you in any way, shape, or form. If I did, please remember to just like and subscribe. This is really the best way to support the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, ciao!